Daniel gets the front seat, wifey gets to walk home for an hour. I was internally dumbfounded by this comment made in jest. I glanced at Daniel, who was sitting next to his mother-in-law. He was fiddling with his smartphone, not looking my way. He's not responding. Did he hear me? My mother-in-law asked with a smirk. I almost sighed in frustration. Hey, let's get going. I'm tired and want to rest soon. Daniel urged his mother-in-law. With a big smile, she got into the driver's seat. To her, I said, "Our house is just a 3-minute walk from here. We moved into that $10 million mansion." Pointed to a nearby mansion. "Excuse me, what are you talking about?" My mother-in-law looked puzzled at my words. I smiled in return. "Oh, my bad. That's not your house. Well, see you." And then, as I started walking, I heard a voice calling me back from behind. Ignoring it, I headed towards my home. Exactly 3 minutes later. "What is this?" My mother-in-law, who had followed me, screamed in shock, almost hysterically. "I am Lisa Anderson, a 26-year-old housewife. My family has been running a business for generations, and we've never had financial troubles. Being the long-awaited daughter, I think I was somewhat spoiled. Lisa, you're really adorable. I feel like I could do anything for you. Especially my brother, who is 10 years older than me, adored me. As he got older, this affection grew, and I started to think, if I don't become a decent person, he will go out of control. This thought helped me avoid becoming selfish. You have such a friendly aura, Lisa. Thanks to that, I have a fair number of friends. After graduating from college, I got a job at a local company. Honestly, even if I didn't work, I could live comfortably just with the allowance I receive. Still, I got a job to gain some social experience. Are you Lisa? Oh, it's Lisa. It's an easy mistake to make. It was at that company where I met Daniel, who would become my husband. He was my trainer, and his friendly personality made it easy for us to get along quickly. Daniel tilted his head as he looked at my ID badge, and I replied in the same way I did during my school days. Oh, that's interesting. That might have been the catalyst, but our relationship quickly deepened, and after his confession, we started dating. After a few years of dating, we got married. My parents and brother were overjoyed and congratulated us. Right after our wedding, Daniel said, "My mom was a busy woman and was rarely home, so I was lonely. I want you to be home, Lisa." He asked me this, so I quit my job and became a housewife. Now, we are living a happy and peaceful life. Any requests for dinner tonight? Well, I feel like having fish today. When I send Daniel off, I also ask for his dinner request. He usually gives me an answer, which makes meal planning easier. If he doesn't have any requests, he comes straight home, so I just need to prepare accordingly. It's late. No way. However, sometimes Daniel comes home late without any notice. This happens when he's invited to dinner by his mother-in-law. "Daniel, you're not home yet. What's up?" "Oh, actually, my mom invited me to dinner, so I'm at her place now." When I call him with a sigh, Daniel replies without a hint of remorse. He's generally a kind and family-oriented guy, but things get complicated when his mother-in-law is involved. "Your mom again. At least let me know. I already made your dinner." "Sorry, it was sudden." "What? Mom wants to talk to you too." I had a bad feeling from Daniel's words. Right after that, "I'm sorry, Lisa. We got some meat from our neighbors and couldn't finish it with just me and Dad, so I invited him. I really apologize." My mother-in-law said apologetically. I replied, "No, that's fine. I just wish you had let me know." Internally, I thought, she's not sorry at all. My mother-in-law disliked me and would purposely invite Daniel suddenly. My mum was always focused on her career and didn't have much interest in us, so I don't have many memories with her. Daniel once said. Despite this, she invited him to dinner to spite the rich daughter-in-law who never knew hardship. I thought about inviting you too, Lisa, but I figured it wouldn't suit your refined taste. My mother-in-law said with a clear laugh in her voice. As I sighed, I heard my father-in-law's voice. What are you talking about? He continued. I'm sorry about my wife. When I asked if we should invite you, she said you declined politely. It's not your fault, father-in-law. I responded. Unlike my mother-in-law, my father-in-law genuinely seemed apologetic. This happens every time. My mother-in-law makes snide remarks, and my father-in-law apologizes. Honestly, I'm tired of this routine. But there's really no need to apologize. Please just tell Daniel to take it easy tonight so it doesn't affect his work tomorrow. I said this and hung up the phone with a sigh. When we first got married, I didn't have a bad impression of my in-laws. During our wedding greetings, my father-in-law said, I can't believe such a wonderful young woman is becoming our daughter-in-law. Really, we're so happy to have such a lovely girl as our daughter. My mother-in-law added. Their kind words made me think they were nicer than what I'd heard. But in reality, things were different. My mother-in-law's harassment and my father-in-law's lack of intervention only added to my frustration. I wish at least Daniel would step in. Daniel seems to enjoy the attention from his parents, who had neglected him until now. Despite the late timing, he is thrilled to finally receive their attention. I sighed again, thinking how troublesome this family is. Oh, Lisa, you're still up? Yes, I'm still the wife, after all. Daniel came home at midnight. He usually gets back by 7 p.m., so I wondered how long he relaxed at his parents' house. I'm really sorry. Have you been getting more irritable lately? No, not at all. I found Daniel's attempt to gauge my mood annoying and ended the conversation quickly. As he mentioned, I had been feeling emotionally unstable lately and considered visiting a doctor soon. By the way, Mum gave me this for you, Daniel said, handing me a paper bag. I knew what was inside without looking. Thanks, you took a bath at your parents' place, right? You should go rest. Yeah, I'll do that. I watched Daniel head to the bedroom and glanced inside the paper bag. Inside, as expected, was food made from rotten ingredients, packed in containers. I silently threw it all in the trash. This must be another form of harassment. Every time Daniel visits his parents' house, his mother-in-law sends him back with this rotten food as a souvenir. The contents are things Daniel hates, so he never eats them. In fact, he hates even looking at them and just hands them to me, not knowing they're spoiled. Even if I told him, he wouldn't believe me. Daniel is a nice guy, both in a good and bad way. He wouldn't believe that his mother is harassing his wife. Maybe it was just a coincidence. I'm sure Mum didn't mean any harm. I once mentioned it to him, and that's what he said. Since then, I haven't brought it up with Daniel. Being too nice can be a problem. Exactly, he's a good person as long as his parents aren't involved. Instead, I've started venting to my brother. At first, he was furious and said, I'll talk to them. But when I told him not to, he just listened. He's a nice guy at work too. Everyone likes him. Indeed, Daniel is good at his job and is known for his kind teaching style. If it weren't for his parents, he would be a genuinely great person. Still, it's surprising how much they've changed since we got married. I might look into it a bit. Look into it? Don't worry about it, Lisa. Leave it to me. I nodded, even though I was puzzled by my brother's words. My brother would never do anything that would harm me. That's why I trust him completely. I wish Daniel could be as reliable as him. After finishing my call with my brother, I muttered this and resumed my chores. Fortunately, my in-laws never show up unannounced at our house, though that means I'm never invited to their place either. Honestly, I wish I could get along with my in-laws. One day, during this uneasy time. It's terrible, Dad is. My father-in-law had been in a car accident and passed away. Rushing to the hospital, I found my mother-in-law there. Mom, how's Dad? He passed away before I got here, she said calmly, without tears. Daniel, in tears, went to his father's side. As I tried to comfort him, I heard my mother-in-law whisper, "Finally, the nuisance is gone." I froze at her words. Did she just say what I think she did? Her husband had died, and she was happy instead of mourning. Lisa, you should stay with Daniel. Yeah. Prompted by my mother-in-law, I finally started to move. After that, it was a whirlwind of activity. Lisa arranged the funeral, and then my mother-in-law did nothing but give me instructions. With the help of my relatives, I managed to handle everything. I wish mother-in-law would do something too. Mom's hurting too. Let's just give her some space. Daniel defended his mother, despite my complaints. Feeling exasperated with him, I somehow managed to see the funeral arrangements through. Not long after that. I'm worried about Mom, so I'm thinking we should move in with her. What? Daniel came up with this idea out of the blue. Apparently, his mother called him and said she felt lonely. You can't just decide something like that without discussing it with me. I'm worried about Mom, please, Lisa. Even now, my mother-in-law harasses me. If we live together, who knows what she'll do? At least wait until my hospital appointment. Oh yeah, you mentioned that? Fine. We'll wait until then. Daniel spoke condescendingly. Since his father passed away, he's changed. Maybe because he spent so much time with his mother during the funeral arrangements, he started looking down on me. I might not be able to stay with him anymore. I whispered to myself, touching my belly. Then I contacted someone. A week later, after my scheduled hospital visit, I received the expected diagnosis and headed home. Oh, there you are. Outside the hospital were Daniel and, surprisingly, Mom. Hello. They came to pick me up. Apparently, my mother-in-law heard about my hospital visit and came to pick me up by car. We're going to my parents' house now. Right now. Yes, from now on, we're all going to live together. Oh, but... At that moment, my mother-in-law grinned. Daniel gets the front seat, and the wifey has to walk home for an hour. I was internally dumbfounded by this comment made in jest. I glanced at Daniel, who was sitting next to his mother-in-law. He was fiddling with his smartphone, not looking my way. He's not responding. Did he hear me? My mother-in-law asked with a smirk. I almost sighed in frustration. Hey, let's get going. I'm tired and want to rest soon. Daniel urged his mother-in-law. With a big smile, she got into the driver's seat. I said to her, our house is just a 3-minute walk from here. We moved into that $10 million mansion. I pointed to a nearby mansion. What? What are you talking about? My mother-in-law looked at me suspiciously. I smiled at her. Oh, my mistake. That's not your house, is it? Well, I'll be going now. As I started walking away, I heard a voice calling me from behind. Ignoring it, I headed towards my home. Lisa. Oh, big brother, you came too? My brother joined me, and we walked together. The peaceful conversation with my brother calmed my heart. Then, here we are. From today, this is my home. Exactly 3 minutes later, we arrived at our mansion. As I marveled at its size, I thought I could finally live in peace. What is this? My mother-in-law, who had followed me, screamed in shock, almost hysterical. Please stop yelling. You're disturbing the neighbors. Shut up, more importantly. What is this about? Sighing at her continued shouting, I decided to explain. You know my family has been running a business for generations, right? I used my savings from before we got married and the support from my family to build this house. Well, Lisa did most of it on her own. My brother added, I've been helping with my family's business since I was a student, saving all my earnings. On top of that, I continued to add my pre-marriage salary and the allowance I received. And didn't you also add the pay from when you helped out during a staff shortage? No, my brother runs the family business. During the transition, some veterans retired, leading to a temporary staff shortage. For a short period, I also worked from home to earn money. That's when I started investing in stocks. Stocks. I seemed to have a knack for it, and I was able to buy this house successfully. I said with a smile, and my mother-in-law looked frustrated. Why did you buy a house? You could have used that money to renovate my parents' house. We're getting a divorce, so I won't be living with you. I told Daniel clearly as he looked puzzled. He froze and said, What? Why a divorce? We don't have any problems, and I haven't cheated or anything. True, you haven't cheated or harmed me, but recently you've started neglecting me, influenced by your mother, haven't you? Daniel averted his eyes quickly. He's still as straightforward as ever. That's why his mother can manipulate him. Moreover, you haven't protected me from your mother's harassment. No, it's not harassment. Mum didn't mean any harm. If I eat rotten food, the baby and I might end up in heaven together. My words made both Daniel and my mother-in-law freeze. Wait, baby. You mentioned that I seemed more irritable before, right? It turns out it was because of pregnancy hormones. I said, rubbing my belly. I found out I was pregnant right after Daniel's father passed away by using a pregnancy test. Today's visit to the hospital was to confirm it at the obstetrics and gynecology department. There's a baby here. Knowing that, I started taking action. To protect my unborn child, I decided to cut ties with my mother-in-law, who harassed me, and Daniel, who wouldn't protect me. That's why I bought this mansion close to the hospital. I can't stay with people who are a threat to me and my baby, I said coldly, and Daniel looked at me in confusion. Then all the more reason to live with Mom. Huck, this is pointless, Lisa. You go inside. Jennifer is waiting for you. Following my brother's words, I went inside the house first. Oh, Lisa. Ignoring Daniel's words, I decided to take a rest. Good job, Lisa. It must have been tough. I've prepared some tea that's safe to drink during pregnancy, so take your time and relax. Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer, my brother's wife and my friend, greeted me with a smile as I entered. When I decided to part ways with Daniel and his mother, I contacted her to help move my things. That's why she has the key to this house. This is the least I can do. I met Chris because of you, so consider it a thank you. It's true, I introduced them. When I introduced Jennifer as a close friend to my brother, they both fell in love at first sight. Despite the 10-year age difference causing some issues, they overcame them, which strengthened their bond. You convinced our hesitant parents by saying, the two of you will be fine together, and we were really grateful. That was only natural. I know how much they love each other. That's why I decided that this time I will protect you, Lisa. Thank you. Having you here is truly reassuring. From now on, Jennifer will be living with me to support me. I initially hesitated, but she insisted, so I agreed. Phew, finally back. After a while, my brother came in, looking tired. When I asked, he told me that Daniel and his mother had been persistently trying to get inside. I told them, are you going to keep defying the boss? And they finally left. Actually, Daniel works for the company where my brother is the CEO. So, my brother knew about Daniel's behavior at work. It seems he didn't realize it until I mentioned it. That's a bit concerning, isn't it? Normally, he should have recognized my brother immediately. My brother became quite famous as a young CEO for a while. Maybe we should keep an eye on his actions a bit longer. Apparently, this made my brother suspicious. There might be an investigation soon. If there's a problem, you can fire him, but if there's nothing, please don't. Firing someone is difficult anyway, but why? My brother looked puzzled, and I smiled. He needs to earn child support for this baby. My brother seemed to understand. Shortly after that, we began divorce proceedings with a lawyer. I thought I was doing the right thing. Daniel told the lawyer, but I didn't listen at all. I had more important things to focus on. Hey, brother, before father-in-law passed away, you mentioned an investigation. Can I hear the results? I was troubled by mother-in-law's comment. When father-in-law died. Yes, you should know, just in case. Then, my brother revealed a certain truth to me. So that's why she called him a nuisance back then. Right after that, the doorbell rang. Jennifer went to check and came back with a displeased look. He's here. Why he? Jennifer meant Daniel. It seemed he came alone without his mother. I asked Jennifer to let him in. Are you sure? Yes, I want to make things clear once more. Daniel, guided in by Jennifer, looked startled to see my brother. Did he think I'd meet him alone? What do you want? We can't just get divorced without any discussion, so I thought we should talk. Daniel said, his eyes dotting around. His gaze suddenly stopped on the investigation report. Oh, this. It's the investigation report on your mother. Why investigate my mom? I explained that my brother had been suspicious of his parents-in-law and mentioned mother-in-law's comment. As her son, you should know this, I said, handing the report to Daniel. As he read it, his face turned pale, then quickly flushed red. Sorry for coming. I think I'll leave now. In the end, Daniel left without doing anything. Seeing this, I laughed, anticipating the chaos that would follow. Lisa, shouldn't you have said more? It's fine. Even if I don't say it now, he'll learn soon enough. That's true. Seeing us laugh, my brother smiled warmly. I was truly grateful to have these two on my side. What have you done? The day after Daniel's visit, my mother-in-law showed up at our house. This time, I handled it without letting her inside. You did something, didn't you? Daniel yelling at me is impossible. Apparently, after he went home yesterday, Daniel blamed his mother quite a bit. I smiled at this expected development. What did I do? I just showed him the truth. The truth you don't mean. Yes, about your affair. Mother-in-law had been having an affair for years. She wanted to marry her lover, but father-in-law wouldn't divorce her. That's why she called him a nuisance. Father-in-law didn't stop your behavior because he wasn't interested in you, right? Father-in-law knew about mother-in-law's affair. As revenge, he didn't divorce her. And since he had no affection for her, he only apologized when she caused trouble and never tried to stop her behavior. That's why your harassment of me never stopped. It was truly bothersome. Shut up. You're just a daughter-in-law who never struggled. And what kind of hardships have you gone through? At my question, mother-in-law began to rant. She said she couldn't marry the person she truly loved because she rushed into her marriage decision. Because of that, she couldn't properly love her son. Is that so? But wouldn't you have avoided this hardship if you hadn't had an affair? Well, and you say you couldn't love your son properly? But why now, after all this time, do you pay attention to him and neglect his wife? Mother-in-law averted her eyes from my further questioning. The reason is simple. You just wanted to take out your frustration on me and Daniel, right? Mother-in-law's shoulders twitched. Yes, mother-in-law wanted to make both me and Daniel suffer. She couldn't marry the person she loved, but her son married someone he loved. from a wealthy family without any struggles. To want to destroy your son's family because of that, you're a terrible person. Well, you got what you wanted in the end. Yes, everything was going well until you ruined it at the last moment. What do you mean ruined? It's your fault in the first place. Startled by the sudden voice, mother-in-law turned around. There stood Daniel with an angry expression on his face. I've understood your intentions very well. How dare you address your mother that way? You should be grateful I'm not calling you a lousy parent. Daniel coldly said, then bowed his head towards the intercom camera. I'm sorry for all the trouble. I'll take her home, so don't worry. Daniel then dragged his screaming mother away. I never thought Daniel would get so furious. I've never seen Daniel angry before. He's the type who usually can't get angry at others. It's true what they say, people like him are the scariest when they're angry. I muttered, recalling Daniel's expression. A few hours later, Daniel contacted me again. I'm sorry for what my family did. I understand why you want to cut ties with us, Lisa, so let's get divorced. And so, we successfully divorced. Daniel promised to pay child support and agreed to give me a larger share of the assets. Completely disheartened by the incident, Daniel seemed to have given up on us entirely. I feel sorry for him, but I have to protect this child. Even now, the child is growing inside me. For the sake of the child's future, I decided to separate from Daniel. I can't afford to sympathize with him. I need to be stronger. You have the right attitude, but don't overdo it, Jennifer said with a smile. I replied, of course. Later, Daniel resigned from his job. After a thorough investigation, it turned out he was easily influenced and often changed his opinions, causing trouble for those around him. I understood my brother's words. Despite siding with mother-in-law until recently, Daniel quickly turned against her once he knew the truth. Having seen this sudden change, I easily accepted my brother's opinion. When I told him that, he said he had caused trouble for both his colleagues and his wife, and decided to resign. Typical of Daniel's kind nature. However, he still needs to pay child support. He needs to find a new job soon. Don't worry about that. I've found him a perfect job. My brother smiled brilliantly. Seeing that smile, I remembered how much he dotes on me. The job he found for Daniel is likely a tough one. Well, he'll have to do his best. He has to take responsibility as a parent, I said, rubbing my belly. Anyway, there's no escape for him. The house we originally lived in was given to me as part of the asset division, and it has already been sold. As long as mother-in-law is around, I won't be returning to the family home. I'll keep a close watch until he pays the child support in full. Above all, my brother will make sure he doesn't escape. Now, it's about my child's happiness, not anyone else's. Thinking this, I leisurely began to consider names for my soon-to-be-born child. Soon after, Daniel apparently left the family home. Because of you, Mom, my life is ruined. He ended up having a huge fight that the whole neighborhood could hear. As a result, everyone in the neighborhood knows about it, and he's feeling very embarrassed. My brother, who is still investigating the family home, told me. Mother-in-law was working at a local supermarket, but the rumors spread to her workplace, and she resigned voluntarily. Without any savings and now unemployed, it's going to be interesting to see how she manages. I actually filed for damages against mother-in-law for the harassment I endured. Having meticulously gathered evidence, the claim was quite substantial. If she had saved up money or had any inheritance from father-in-law left, things might have been better. However, she spent most of it on her lover, leaving almost nothing. With what little remains, she can't even pay the full amount of the damages. My dear sister suffered, so she has to suffer too. My brother murmured with a smile as he read the investigation report. A few months later, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Did you inform him? Yes, I did, he replied with congratulations. After resigning, Daniel has been working hard at the job my brother introduced him to. It's full of strict seniors, and he's being pushed to his limits every day. Are you going to let him meet Linda? I have no plans to. Daniel seemed eager to meet her, but I firmly refused. I have no intention of forgiving him for not protecting me. Therefore, I won't let him meet Linda in the future. That's the right decision. He needs to make amends. My brother agreed with my judgment. As for my mother-in-law, oh, she got arrested. What? Arrested? After Daniel left her, she eagerly went to her lover. However, her lover rejected her and even fled to a distant place. She got so angry that she caused a commotion and ended up getting arrested. I was internally exasperated by this. I always thought she was selfish, but to resort to violence. She's really a foolish person. She might be blaming me again, even in prison. Well, she will never appear in front of you or Linda again. My brother gave a cold smile as he said this. Next to him, Jennifer nodded in agreement. If you two say so, then I'm sure it'll be fine. With these two incredibly reliable people, I felt truly at ease. They kept their word and took mother-in-law to a remote island after she was released. She's set to live alone there in isolation. She's the type who hurts those around her, so we need to isolate her. Oh, but we'll make sure she has a job, so she can still pay the damages. I thanked them with a smile, and they both nodded back with wide grins. A few more months passed. Good morning, Linda. Every day was hectic with my first child, but thanks to Jennifer's help, everything was going smoothly. Cutting ties was the right decision. Since then, I've had no contact from Daniel or mother-in-law, allowing me to live peacefully. I heard through the grapevine that they are each isolated now. They've lived selfishly until now, so it's only natural that people have left them. Just as I murmured this, I heard my beloved daughter's voice. Oh, Linda is calling. I headed toward Linda with a smile. Thanks to my quick decision, I was able to safely meet her. My decision was not wrong. If I had stayed married to Daniel, mother-in-law might have harmed me, leading to a miscarriage. Daniel was confused when I demanded a divorce, which is why he got so angry when he learned the truth about his mother. If he had remained calm, he might have defended her, saying, "Mom would never do that." And now, I could have been spending my days in tears. I'm glad I had my brother and friends. With gratitude for my brother and friend, I focused on raising Linda